Hi, I'm Lisa, and this is my good friend Lise, and we're presenting Field to Feast.
I've been out everywhere picking fresh green nettles.
And today we're going to show you what we can do with those nettles. You can substitute nettles for greens in any favorite recipe you might have. Today we're making oysters Rockefeller and caldo verde, which is a Portuguese greens and potato soup. And we're making spanakopita, where we're substituting nettles for spinach in a basic spinach pie recipe.
When you're out picking nettles, wear gloves. That's why they call them stinging nettles. They hurt, they burn. So what I do is I wear gloves and I just cut the tops off so that instead of pulling them out by the roots, they will grow again and again for you.
And where would you go looking for nettles?
Well, what they like is disturbed soil that's slightly acidic and damp. So like a riverside.
So let's get to work. Up all our spanakopitas at home because we wanted to make things a little easier on ourselves out here. But all I've done is mixed I've sauteed some fresh scallions in olive oil, added the nettles, and mixed that in with some beaten eggs, some feta cheese, a little bit of dill weed, and fresh pepper and fresh ground nutmeg.
What I'm doing here is I'm taking butter and olive oil mixed together, and I'm just, we don't have a brush out here, so I'm using my hands, and it's a lot of fun. It's like painting.
Finger painting.
Finger painting. And I'm just folding this in half. Actually, this is smaller, but can you get some? Putting more butter on this side, and away we go. What are you going to do with it?
So then I just put the filling in there. And this is very simple. It comes out looking very professional, but it's not difficult to do at all. I just fold my first triangle, and then it just keeps going from there, and it seals in all the filling and makes a nice, neat packet.
And just a little more butter.
We're going to try to barbecue them today, which we've never done before, but we're cooking outside, so we're going to give it a try.
Yeah.
Caldo verde. I'm going to crush up some garlic here to saute. And we'll be sauteing that with a little bit of onions.
What kind of sausage goes into this?
It's a chorizo sausage, which, I mean, any spicy sausage would do. Chorizo, I think, is the traditional Spanish and Portuguese sausage.
And I'm just prepping the potatoes.
So put in a good amount of olive oil. There's lots of flavor in olive oil, and it's a very healthy oil. In goes the garlic and our onions. So there's our nice onions and garlic.
And how big do you want the potatoes? Half to get? This way.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that?
Yeah. I'll keep peeling for you while you do the chopping.
You can chop up, yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. You don't have to ask me how big to make them.
That's right.
You can just go ahead and add these anytime you're ready with them.
So you were looking things up on the internet about nettles. What did you find?
Oh, there was a site, a British site. Be kind to Nettles Week is sometime in May. Be nice to nettles, I think is what they said.
Right.
And there was all sorts of information on there about nettles being used for fabric, for fibers, the medicinal uses of nettles. Nettles used in wine or in beer. Nettles is butterfly plants.
Wow, what a versatile plant. Oh, come on. Yes.
So we're just going to let this saute a little bit till the onions get kind of translucent. And then we'll be adding some stock to it. So while this is sauteing here, we're going to try to put our phyllo pastry onto the barbecue and see if we can bake them that way. So we're going to try putting these phyllo pastry on the grill. I'm gambling on this working because we do use quite a hot oven to bake a small phyllo pastry like this. About 45 or 450 degrees, about 15 minutes might do it. So they shouldn't have to be on here too long. Thank you. So we're going to cover them up so we can seal the heat in, and we'll get a bit of an oven effect here. So while these are baking, we're going to go over and we'll work on our oysters Rockefeller.
Oysters Rockefeller. What I've done here is I've taken this, it's a baking pan that has an edge on it. And what I do with my oysters is I line them up like this so that the moisture can drip out. I put them in an oven on a broil, but I put them low in the oven. So they're not right under the broiler, but they're getting the heat from above. And I line them up like this so that the juice drains out, and then later you can collect the nectar for whatever else you want to use it for. Now, lots of these are shucked, but I'll show you what you do. So it's been steamed in the broiler. I'm putting the knife in where the mussel is. There's a little mussel under here. And voila, off it pops. Much easier to do a cooked one than a raw one. And then we're going to put on the nettle filling.
Why don't you go ahead and do that and I'll do the cheese.
Okay, what's in the nettle filling?
The filling I've made with, I sauteed again a few spring onions, scallions, and threw in the nettles and a little bit of flour and some heavy cream. So it made something like nettles and cream sauce. And I put that into the blender for just a few minutes, a few seconds really, just to make this sort of texturized sauce. It's not super smooth, very rich and creamy. And then I put in about 2 tablespoons of ouzo, which is my secret ingredient for all shellfish dishes, or just about. Goes with all shellfish.
Yum, yum. Okay.
Of course, these are fresh oysters we're using here, aren't they?
Fresh and local oysters. Yeah, they come right from the waters of Discovery, around the outer islands here. These are tray oysters, and they're different because they never come out of the they never come out of the water. They stay underwater. So they have a very sweet flavor rather than fishy. You glop.
Okay. So what makes it different, a tray oyster? It never comes out of the water.
Yeah.
That's interesting. They're sweeter.
Yeah, less fishy. Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed in places where people eat a lot of raw oysters, and they don't seem very popular here considering how much oysters we have here. Mm-hmm. But I've seen them diving for the oysters. So perhaps being underwater all the time is what makes a good raw oyster.
Yeah.
We also have very large oysters here, and they're a little less fun to eat raw than a smaller oyster.
Mm-hmm. And these oysters you can get at Fanny Bay Oysters, which is in Fanny Bay, or Susie's Seafood here in Campbell River. Also, if you have a fishing license, you can collect a few oysters off the beach. How's that coming?
So I'm just grating some fresh parmesan on top of here, and we're going to broil them on the barbecue and they'll be done. So we just want a little bit of oyster liquor back in there as well. Excuse me, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Please. So just a spoonful in each one. Do you want to put them in the tray?
Yeah. Okay, just enough to fit. Perfect.
So those are ready for the barbecue. We'll just put them over there and let them grill for a while. And our soup is ready for the stock now. The onions are nice and translucent, and the potatoes have started to cook a little bit. We're going to pour in, we've got 3 cups of nettle stock here that we saved from when we were steaming the nettles for the Rockefeller and for the spanakopita. So if you didn't have, we just want the extra nettle nutrients in there. But we're also using some chicken broth. It's also about 3 cups of chicken broth. So if you didn't have the extra nettle liquor, then you would just use all chicken broth. That should be enough right there. So we'll just let that come to a boil before we add anything else to it.
Let's check our phyllo.
We'll have a little peek at the phyllo pastry here and see if we're getting away with this trick.
Flip them.
Well, I think we want to just keep that lid on, and I think they're working beautifully. Actually, you know what? I will flip them.
Okay.
What shall I use?
A flipper.
Got a barbecue flipper here.
Try to hold that. Oh, look, beautiful.
So I actually turned the heat right off on this grill because I was worried it was going to get too hot. And it had preheated quite a while. So now, because those are looking really nice like that, I'm going to turn it back on and just turn it on to the lowest heat and let the other side cook, because I think it's probably cooled down that much by now. You want to go ahead and put that back on?
Okay. There we go.
Here. So we're going to add a little bit of fresh ground pepper to this. Loosen that up. And you can go ahead and throw those chorizo sausages in here.
Here we go.
And we'll let this simmer for a little while. We've got our oysters on the barbecue doing what they need to there. And our phyllo pastry is baking nicely there. And we'll just have to give everything a little more time. Back, and we've let everything have a little while to cook here. We're going to finish off our soup. That's good to put that. I'm just going to fish out our chorizo sausage here.
Great. I'll cut it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then we just mash some of these potatoes up against the edge of the pan to give our stock a little bit more body. So it's still chunky. You wouldn't want to put this in the blender or anything. You just want to cook it till the potatoes start to break down. So we'll go ahead, and we've got just some canned beans here. Any kind of beans would work. Large ones are nice. We've got some kidney beans because the color is nice in here.
Okay, that's ready. Should I just add it in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Wow, look at the color of those, eh? Isn't that something?
Those are so beautiful. Did you get them out of your garden?
Yes, and I have them growing in a boarded off area, so they don't spread. It's great.
So you just harvest them in the spring. They're only good in the spring, aren't they?
No, actually, you know what happens is they go to seed, and then somehow in the fall I get another new crop. So
really? I didn't realize they were in the fall as well.
Yeah.
Because nettles are a really great spring tonic. And so then I wonder if they're also a good fall tonic as well. They say that they're a blood purifier and get rid of all your toxins from the winter to get ready to go clean into the spring.
Yeah, I think they...
What a great way to take your tonic in this fabulous gourmet food. You don't have to make a horrible infusion or anything.
Right. Also, what I have here is some dried nettles, and I'm going to make tea with those. So I'm just taking a little handful and sticking them in some boiling water, and that just needs to sit for a few minutes. And You can freeze them as well. Drying is very easy. I just lay them out. I have a wood stove where I live, so I put them on the heating oven and dry them out very quickly. And also you can freeze them very easily. Okay, you want to throw them in?
Yeah, don't throw the dried
Chop
ones in
them
though.
up? No, I'm not going to.
Hold up. So nettles are very vitamin rich. I'm going to be careful of the sting here. If I touch them lightly, they don't seem to hurt me. They're high in calcium and iron and magnesium and lots of trace elements.
Got 'em?
Yeah.
That's good, eh? More? Okay.
Get the last green ones.
Okay.
These booby trapped me last night. We were digging around in the car trying to figure out in the dark what was supposed to go inside the house and what was staying in the car. And I put my hand into this bag and I thought, what is that? Is that parsley? I was trying to identify which was going in and which was staying out. And I thought, it feels like thistles. And then I realized I had my hand right in the stinging nettles and I was rooting right around inside them.
Ouch!
So I put a little bit of baking soda paste on my hand and it seemed to take the sting out a little bit.
Those are steaming down nicely in there.
Looks so good. So we're just going to put the lid on here, let it simmer a little while longer, but things are pretty much done. Oh, well,
Right, we've
heated up a few extras here. And these came out just beautiful on the grill here. Do you want to pass me the basket?
Sure. Right, so we've got our spanakopita, our Nettles Rockefeller, and our soup.
Do you want to get oven mitts?
Okay, let's go eat. Give some.
Pull
There
that
you go.
off.
Okay.
Pull it off for me?
Yeah.
So let's have a look at how these turned out.
There we go.
They look just
Oh, they
beautiful,
look
piping
great.
hot, not a bit burnt.
Oh, they look great. Really good. Yum.
Oh, I am getting really hungry.
Yeah.
So I'll just let you have a look at what the soup is looking like before we go back to before we take it to the table. So the potatoes like to break down a little bit more there, but that's about done. And our oysters are looking gorgeous there. And there's our spanakopita's. And we're ready to eat.